everyone. My name is Lisa. Welcome to Stop, Drop, and Knit podcast, episode number 26. I am coming to you from Long Island, New York, and we have another gorgeous day today. So I hope that you enjoy sitting outside with me for a little while. I tried to get these flowers. My husband planted some wildflower seeds, and he could tell you what these are. I don't actually remember what he said they are, but they're really pretty. So I tried to get those in the view for you guys. Thank you guys, everybody who has found my podcast recently. I seem to have a lot of new viewers, so I just wanted to say welcome, and I hope that you are enjoying the content that I am putting out here today. And of course, everybody who is returning and has been with me for the 6 months that I have been doing this now, welcome back. So we're gonna just jump right into what am I wearing. Okay, so I'm not really wearing this right now because it's in the upper 70s and I absolutely don't need to be wearing this. But I wanted to bring it out because it matched my t-shirt and I found it and I had forgotten about it. This is a cowl that I knit back in 2013. It's called, I don't know if it's called the Infinity Cowl. I can't even find the pattern that I used, but I did actually want to talk about it a little bit. So I'm probably not really going to keep it on because it's kind of warm out here. But, okay, so when I was working on my doctorate, I had a percussion friend. He's still my friend. And Matt Lau, and he's a percussionist, and he asked me to perform on his percussion recital, and he is a knitter. And so as like a thank you for performing on his recital, he gifted me this beautiful, beautiful yarn. This is Madeline Tosh. There's the ice cream man again. I'm telling you, every time I podcast, the ice cream man comes. We'll just let him pass by. Anyway, okay, so I played on my friend Matt's recital, and he is a percussionist, but he is also a knitter, and he's a fantastic knitter. And he gifted me this yarn as a thank you for playing on his recital, and this was my very first Madeline Tosh light singles yarn. I had never worked with this yarn or any singles before. And so it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to make from it. And I keep forgetting that I even have this. It got buried away somewhere, and I've worn it a few times, but it's been a really long time since I've worn it. This, as you can tell, I don't even know what the color is, but it is gorgeous. I'm gonna hold this up so you can see it. But I'm gonna have to search and see if I can find the pattern. And if I can find it, I'm going to insert it here and update my Ravelry project page because I just have it listed as Infinity Scarf. It was probably called something like that, but I couldn't find the information. But look at those colors. I have no idea what the colorway is either. I do not have the labels anymore. Okay, 2013 was before I knew about blocking and the magic of blocking. And obviously this is a lace pattern and I did not block this. And so, I mean, it looks beautiful. I can absolutely wear this as a little cowl and it looks gorgeous, but I think now that I'm a more experienced knitter, I was gonna say better knitter. I am also a much better knitter than I was in 2013 because that's just been like 8 years ago. How has that been 8 years ago since I played on this guy's recital already? Oh my gosh. Anyway, wow. So now that I am a more experienced knitter and know about things like blocking, I think, especially since I'm not going to wear this for real anytime soon, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to block it tonight or over the weekend and see how much this opens up. And I think it's going to grow at least an inch, but I would think that it would open up somewhat because I've got this like really pretty lacy pattern here, and it's just, you can see how it's all smushed down there right now. and how blocking it is going to open up these holes. So I think I will block it this week, and then if I remember, I will pull it out again for the next podcast and just show you guys the updated finished object. Not really finished object, I mean I finished this 8 years ago, but you guys know what I mean, the updated project. So that is what I might stick on later after the sun starts to go away and it gets a little bit cooler out here, but I'm not gonna put it back on today. But it's gorgeous. This color is so pretty. So I know that the yarn is definitely Madeline Tosh Light, and it's a singles, and yeah, it's so pretty. I should really wear this thing, but I want to finish it properly now that I know better. So that's going to be my plan for this week. Okay, so I do not have a single finished object this week, so we're going to go right on into WIPS. Before we go into WIPS, I'm going to give my lichen jar a little shake, and I'm going to open it up because once a week I'm supposed to let this thing oxidize. Oh, and it just got dye on me. All right, I got to go wipe that up. Hang on. But I'm going to open it up, and we're going to let some oxygen get in here while I record this podcast. Figured that would be kind of a good time to do that, but I'm going to go grab a paper towel. All right, so we'll talk more about that later. Okay, so the first thing I want to chat with you guys about today is our Harry Potter Knitting Magic Book Knitalong. So this is hashtag Harry Potter Knitalong 2021 on Instagram, and I have a thread in my Ravelry group. And we are knitting along to the Harry Potter Knitting Magic official Harry Potter Knitting Patterns book by Tanis Gray. And I have some huge news for you guys today. Oh my goodness. Thank you to Stephanie. She's Crooked Knits on Instagram. She is my knitting friend here who I've met a couple of times. We met through Instagram and then over at Tabitha's farm one day. I said, hey, I know you from Instagram. I recognized your son. And now we're like besties. Kinda, sorta, not really, but we're gonna hang out, we chat, you know. So, hey Stephanie. Anyway, Stephanie tagged me on Instagram today because Tanis Gray is releasing a second Harry Potter Knitting Patterns book. And it is going to be coming out September 28th, but pre-orders are open now. So I am going to have the link to pre-order the book through Amazon down below. And you guys should go pre-order it. It looks amazing. I'm going to insert a photo here of the screenshot from her Instagram account. This is going to be so much fun, and what better timing for this book to come out than like smack in the middle of this knit-along that I have going on, right? Owen has no idea yet. He is going to be like beyond over the moon excited because there's like this cute little Harry Potter doll, and I think it's Hermione over there. Oh my gosh, they are so cute. So you guys, if you guys are participating in the knit-along, go on over, pre-order that book. If you pre-order the book, there is a bonus pattern that you get with like proof of receipt from the purchase of the pre-order. And I think she said it was like a Harry Potter Christmas knit hat or something. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna want that. I'm sure Owen is gonna want that. So I'm definitely going to be putting in a pre-order. But back to our current knitting book knit-along. So I have cast on for Hedwig, which is Harry's owl. And again, if you have not watched all 8 movies and have not gotten like through movie, I don't know if it's movie 6 or movie 7 part 1, don't read the description in the book because there's a spoiler alert in there. So I'm very cautious now. But I did get some more work done on Hedwig last night, and so I wanted to share that with you guys. So this is a headless Hedwig so far. Yeah, this is gonna blow the camera out a bit, but this is knit in, I've got some Bear Malabrigo Rios. It's actually a really nice yarn. And I mean, I knew Rios was awesome, but I don't know why I'm knitting Hedwig and Rios. It's what Owen picked at the store. But anyway, so this is what I have so far. So you can see, like, I split for where the legs are going to go. I've got some stitches on some waste yarn here, and so each of these holes is going to be one of the legs. And then I did the first of the tail feathers last night, and so I think that there's 3 or 4 of these. So that's like the next thing, and then the feet, and then the head, which is the scary part. But this is so fun. So it actually is kind of starting to look like something now. So I'm excited to keep updating you guys on that. And I wanted to show you, you can see a little bit in where the slip slip knit and knit 2 together stitches are for the increases and decreases. I think that that is where the shaping for like the wing placement is going to go. Not positive, but that's my hunch. So yeah, I've got a headless Hedwig body. And then the yarn that I'm going to be using is also a really nice yarn. For the wings, Owen picked out this Madeline Tosh worsted weight yarn, and the color is Optic 305, and so it's like white with black speckles. And so that's gonna be like the wings part that goes on the back. So that is my Hedwig progress that I actually only just worked on that last night because I've been focusing on my test knit, and oh my gosh, did I go crazy with natural dyeing this week. It's a full episode. I've got spinning, I've got everything this week, you guys. Holy cow. Okay, so that is Hedwig. I cannot believe that there is a book 2 coming out, and the patterns in that look so fun. Speaking of Hedwig, on the cover of the book, I'll insert like a blown up picture there. There are these mittens, and it's Hedwig, and it's like the color work on the mittens is all the envelopes from the mail in the first movie. I mean, if you guys have seen the first movie, you know that like all the letters from Hogwarts come, and the owls bring them, and they're just like everywhere. So it's like the mail envelope all over pattern with Hedwig. And oh my gosh, those are so cute. So I am actually like genuinely super excited for book 2. Who knew? A few months ago I had never seen any Harry Potter, and now I'm like so excited for book 2 to be coming out at the end of September. So, all right, that is my first WIP. Okay, so next up for WIPs, I had a little bit of time to work on, let me get the project. I had a little bit of time to work on my Bright Axis tee, which is in Stephanie Lotvin's Knit Happy with Self-Striping yarn book. So I will quickly show you a picture of the garment that I have cast on. So here it is. This is the Bright Axis tee, and it is so super cute. I had to cast on again. I had to frog my progress because I didn't swatch before I cast on the first time. I'm always really close with the recommended needle size, and so I just do what I did, and I blindly cast on, and it was coming out like this big. It was so big. And so now, last time I showed you my swatch, and so I've gone down 1 needle size, so I'm now knitting on a US 4 instead of the 5 that was recommended. And I have just a little bit of progress done. I've done the ribbing, and I have maybe 3/4 of an inch, or maybe about an inch done of the stockinette body. So I mean, I've got a super long way to go, but I think that this is going to be much closer to fitting me than the first time. Because this is also, I'm pretty sure this is a superwash yarn, and so it is going to stretch out when I block it. And I'm feeling much more confident now with this second go at it. So Not a lot of progress to show you, but I am using a beautiful naturally dyed yarn. I did not dye this one myself. This was purchased on KnitPicks site, and I got it from the fiber share coordinators after my partner flaked out on me. So they went and purchased this for me. And so it's a KnitPicks, I think the Hawthorn base, and it was naturally dyed with logwood. And so it is beautiful. So that is my progress on that so far. I will grab my yarn and show you my plan. If you guys have been watching, you've seen this already, but so I won't spend too much time. But this is my plan for the colorwork portion, the striped yoke portion. And this is Knitterly Things in Squash Blossoms. And this, I just thought that the purples went really well together for that. So it's gonna be a while before I get to this part here, because there's like, you know, up until here has to be stockinette. So I've got so many inches that I just need to spend going around and around and around and around. So this is my, whenever I need a mindless knitting project, this is the one that I am currently turning to, because it's just gonna be stockinette in the round for many inches. So that is my Bright Axis T progress. Not a lot to show, but I'm actually like really excited for the finished object of this one. I think it's gonna be a super cute short sleeve top, and I do not have many of those. As you can see, I am just in a t-shirt today because it's hot and I don't have a lot of summer knits, so I'm trying to change that a little bit. Okay, so for my last WIP today, I have my test knit to show you guys again. This is a test knit that I am doing for Caitlin Hunter, and our deadline is next Wednesday. So today is Friday, so the deadline is Wednesday. So I will be finishing this up this weekend, and I don't know if the pattern is coming out next Wednesday or if that is just our deadline. I'm not totally sure, but I'm hoping that next episode I might be able to wear this one and show the finished object to you. We will see. But this, so that's the back. This is the front. So I finished all of the lace stripes. So I've got all 8 stripes totally done. And I just switched needle sizes and started to do the stockinette top part of the sweater. So yeah, so this is the bottom. From what I understand, let me stick this down. So the top, I'm actually, before I tell you about the pattern a little bit, let me tell you about the yarn in case you're new here. So the lacy section, I chose minis from Backyard Fiberworks, had a Dove in a Plum Tree colorway. That this was something I had picked up from Maryland Sheep and Wool back in 2018. So this is no longer available. I can't even find a website, current up-to-date like website for Backyard Fiberworks. I don't know if they are still an active yarn company or not. I can't find them, so I'm thinking maybe not. But I picked up an extra. Somebody on Ravelry was kind enough to destash it to me, and so I purchased this from her because I wanted to make sure for this test knit that I was going to have enough yardage, because at the time Caitlin hadn't finished hers, and so the yardage was like an estimate. So that is what I'm using for, well, that is what I used because it's finished. So I didn't use all the colors. I chose 4 of them for the stripes, and so the Backyard Fiberworks is what I used for the lace section. And then the main body color I found in my stash. It's a plum from Knitterly Things, and it's pretty much an exact match to the Backyard Fiberworks plum. So, and I think that you're not, even if it does turn out to knit up slightly differently, I think that there's enough space between the Backyard Fiberworks and this Knitterly Things that I don't think anybody's going to notice. And I really think it's going to be close enough and beautiful. So I'm going to stick this on the ground for a second because I want to show you. So this is going to block out quite a bit because it's lace, and lace, like I was talking about with the cowl, like when you, this is now like inside out and upside down, but when you stretch it out, the lace grows quite a bit. So I should just put this right side out and show you guys like a stretched out kind of version. So you can see that's really going to open up quite a lot. So the way that Caitlin is designing this is that the lace is going to hit mid chest. So you don't have to, I mean, you can knit it however you want. This is going to grow a bit, so I'm not worried about this being too short. So I think mid chest is going to be right about there for me, and that is at least her idea for the design. I haven't seen it on anybody yet. I know, well, I did see it on one person, like a sneak peek, and the way that they did it was they knit extra stockinette so that they would have this sitting below the chest like that. But I think it's going to be really cute as Caitlin envisions it. So I think what I'm going to do is just knit it as she says in the pattern. It's a really laid back test, which is really, really great. I do not have direct contact with Caitlin Hunter. She has one person that is like her communication, like the liaison between her and the testers. So it's not Caitlin that is directly in contact with all of us, because that would be insane for her. And so she just has one person that takes control of that. But they have communicated that Caitlin is really open to adjusting so that you can make the garment fit how you want it to. You do not need to follow exactly what her recommended like pattern as written is. All that they want is to keep track of any changes and modifications that you make and yardage estimates and how those changes are, so that when people go to your project page, they can not only see how you adjusted it, but they can have an idea of how much more or less yardage that is going to require and things like that. So I think it's really great that Caitlin is really open to just, you know, do what you need to do to be happy with how the garment is going to be for you, because it's, even though it's a test for her, it's a garment for you. So I think that's really awesome that, you know, she is really mindful of us being happy with the finished product. So I think though that I'm going to try to do it this way, because I think that'll be super cute. And the lace will grow enough to still have it be, I mean, this is already longer, at least as long as my t-shirt, and that's gonna stretch, you know, so that's gonna be more along the lines of my Tanya that I wore last week, and I love the length of that. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna go for it as she is writing the pattern and just trust it and see how it goes. So I probably, I don't know exactly if it's coming out next week or not. I know that the deadline is next week. I cannot show you the completed full garment until the pattern is released. So hopefully it will be released next week, so that the next podcast I can actually show you my completed garment. So this is currently called the Lacy Summer Tee, but I am quite sure she's probably naming it something different. So just keep an eye on my Instagram, which is at Lisa Westervelt Flute Studio, and when this is released, you can bet I will be posting it there. So all right, that is all the knitting content that I have for you guys today. So we're gonna move on. I've got spinning and I've got a whole lot of natural dyeing to tell you guys about. So I'm so excited. Oh my goodness, there's a lot. Okay, so we're gonna start with spinning because I have a brand new spinning project to share with you guys. I just wanted to say really quick, there's really little adorable kids next door, and they're outside playing right now, and so they're getting a little screamy in a not in a bad way, I'm having so much fun playing outside with my little friends. They're like 3. They're so cute. So I hope that doesn't bother you guys. They right there, you can probably hear that. So there's a lot of little like excited screaming going on next door in the background. So, all right, I finished spinning my hand spun, obviously. Hand spun. What am I saying? I finished spinning my clover sheet, my Cotswold sheet that I got from Tabitha. I'm going to insert a picture of it because I kind of did something to it in my playing with natural dyes this week, so I don't actually have it to show you guys as a finished spin because I already altered it. So we're gonna get to that. But here is a picture of my beautiful Cotswold fiber all spun up. I was so excited to finish that a few days ago, and it was just a dream to spin. It was really an interesting spin. It was very different, a little bit more rustic than anything that I had spun before. Which I am especially noticing now that I started this new spinning project, because the new one here is a Polworth wool top. I have never spun Polworth before. It is gorgeous. This is so pretty. So this is a combed top and it is Polworth. Look at these colors. You guys, all right, so last week I let you guys know that I am now a brand ambassador for Wonderland yarns and Frabjous fibers, and I found this deep in my stash. Yeah, so I'm gonna have a link below to Wonderland yarns, to their website. I don't make any kind of commission or anything like that. As brand ambassador, they are going to be sending me yarn and fiber on occasion to work with and knit up and spin into amazing projects to share with you guys. So that is my perk of being the brand ambassador. But I have known about them for a few years now, and I have a few things in my stash, and I showed you guys last week the yarn that I have been working with. And I don't have that today to share with you because I have made no progress on it, because focusing on my test knit since I have a deadline coming up with that. But I found deep in my stash this fiber, and so this is the label. It's Frabjous fibers, and this is a hand-dyed Polworth wool top, and the colorway is number 252 Iris. And so our irises that we have around that tree back there had already bloomed and went away. So I'm kind of sad that I can't get a picture of the actual iris flowers that we had in our yard next to this fiber, because I thought that would be so amazing. Let me stick this in the bag. But I had purchased this maybe 3 or even 4 years ago. Every once in a while we travel to Vermont, and they are based in Brattleboro, and so all of the local yarn shops in Vermont tend to carry their products, which is really great. And I had already heard of them prior to those trips. At that time I did not realize that they were Vermont based. So I picked up a few things here and there at the different shops that I traveled to, and this fiber was one of them, and this fiber has just been sitting in my stash ever since. And so I am awaiting my package of yarn to come for them, but I found myself without a spinning project for a couple of days. I think I started this one yesterday, and I wanted to sit outside and spin, and I said, oh my goodness, I don't have a spinning project because I just finished spinning up my Cotswold. And so I dug this out of deep stash, and what I did was I will show you the picture, and I separated it all out, and I divided it. So I've never done this before. What I've done before is I've just kind of grabbed like little chunks of fiber, and just however I wanted to spin it up, like I would just grab whatever. I had no plan for it. I've since learned a little bit more about being able to manage the color repeats as you spin. And so this time, I don't want to unravel this one. I'll put a picture in so you can see it, because I want to make sure that I start it the same direction. So I divided the wool top in half lengthwise and then in half again. So I have 4 identical bumps. I guess it's a bump, but I rolled it into 4 individual pieces to spin up, and I'm gonna do it in the same order every time. And I'm gonna see how that changes how the final yarn looks as I ply it together. So, and that one is falling apart. There we go. So you guys, all right, since it kind of fell apart, you guys can kind of see. It's so pretty. It is, the colors are so pretty. You guys know I love purple. I know some of you guys on here were saying purple and green together is your favorite. Now, I don't know if this color is still available because, as I said, this was something I purchased like a good 3 or 4 years ago, and they do update their colors seasonally. So my guess is you cannot purchase it, but it doesn't hurt to look. They have many other beautiful colors. So I've got 4 of those ready to go, and I started spinning yesterday. And I've already gone through a couple of the colors, but the way that I am winding it onto my shaft, part of the spindle here, it has kind of covered up like the green and the blue that I have already done, and the darker purple. So I'm keeping this all together as one bump. I want to show you guys, because the Cotswold that I was spinning, I was using my lightest spindle and I had trouble keeping it spinning for very long. This spindle, on the other hand, has more weight to it. And you guys can see how consistent, maybe you guys, I don't know, cover my face there. I think you guys can see how consistent that yarn is looking. And it is spinning up so great. And somebody asked if I could do a spinning tutorial. Now, I don't know that I am really confident to do really a tutorial, because I still consider myself a complete novice when it comes to spinning. I mean, I have produced a few hand spun yarns, maybe 4 now, in like completion, from like on my drop spindle, from singles and then plying 2 together. And I've only done it like 4 times, but I am getting better. And this is one that I can actually keep going, and I don't have to park and draft all the time, which is really exciting. So I'll just do a little bit. I'll stand up as it gets longer, because I think last time I showed a little bit of spinning, I was definitely parking and drafting, and this one I don't need to do that. So park and draft is when you spin it, but you don't draft at the same time. You just spin it and let it build up twist, and then you stop and you like hold it between your knees so that it's not going to spin anymore. And then you keep the twisted part pinched, you draft it out, pinch it up here, and then you let go, and then the twist that has built up will work its way up, but you're not continuously spinning. So I'll do that again. So this is park and draft. So I'm just gonna spin, let it build up twist, and then kind of when it stops spinning and starts to slow down a little bit like that, I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna put it in between my legs, which I can't really see too well. There we go. Back up a little bit. I'm going to pinch that there. I'm gonna draft the fiber back a little bit and try to control the amount of thickness or thinness that I want. I'm gonna pinch it up here, let go there, and then it turns into a yarn like that. And so you can draft while it is parked. So parked is when you are not letting it actively spin. So, and then you're gonna wind it up and load it onto the shaft. So this is not by any means a tutorial, but this is because somebody asked. And so I thought I would share a little bit of how I do it. So that was park and draft. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let the spindle keep spinning, and I'm gonna draft while it is spinning. This is a great one to do that with. Whoops, that's gonna fall. This is a great one to do that with because it is heavy enough. And so you can see the spindle is spinning and I am drafting at the same time. So I'm just gonna keep going until I have kind of like an arm's length. And if you need to give it like a little bit more twist, you always can. But this time I am drafting at the same time that I'm spinning. And so the spindle is just going. I'm drafting, drafting, drafting. It's gonna go off camera here. And I'm gonna, you know, it's still going. You can't see it. And then kind of, it's starting to slow down a little bit. And now I've got much closer to an arm's length of thread or yarn that I have made. And so I'm just wrapping it up. Some people do like a little butterfly thing. I haven't quite gotten that down. It's like when you get your pinky and your index finger and you twist it on there a certain way. So yeah, so this is actually drop spinning, where the spindle just keeps going. I'll do it again because that was pretty fun. So I'm gonna just get a little bit of twist going, give it a good twist. Then I'm gonna draft, and I'm trying to keep it pretty thin. So it is going, going, going. I'm gonna give it a little bit more twist. I mean, it's still going, but I'm gonna give it a little bit more twist. And I'm trying to keep the spindle on the camera because it's harder to see the yarn itself. But I'm just gonna keep making my yarn. And the spindle's starting to slow down. I'm gonna give it like another little twist. So, and yeah. It is so fun, and it's such a good feeling when you get the hang of it. And now kind of my arms are pretty far apart again. So, you know, you want to stop when you get to kind of an arm's length because then it gets pretty hard. Let's see if I can do this butterfly thing. I don't think I can. You just kind of, there you go. Like take your pinky and your thumb and do something like that. And then you just wind it on the shaft of the spindle. Yeah, I made quite a bit that time actually. So when you park and draft, you're working, like, I think it takes a bit longer because you're not necessarily going to be able to get a really big arm's length because you're gonna just kind of however high your arm can go is kind of the limit. But when you're standing up and spinning, you can get it much longer. So I think that it goes by a little bit more quickly. But it's just really cool. And so that was just a quick little like demonstration. And I just have, now that I'm spinning with the fiber, I just kind of put my wrist through it. And I've got the ends of it that I am controlling to draft from in this hand over here. And I'm really trying to, like, I need to go back because it's starting to get into the purple. I need to get this white in there because I'm really trying to be really conscious about how my colors are spinning up. Oops. So this needs more twist. And so yeah, I wanted to get that white back in there before I just got into all of that purple. So that when I spin the other little bumps that I created, they'll be really similar. So yeah, so that is just a little I'm not gonna call it a tutorial, but I'll call it a little demonstration of the level of spinning that I am currently able to do. This is my favorite drop spindle. I really need to go check my past Instagram posts because I cannot remember who I purchased this from. It's something that I picked up at the 2019 Maryland Sheep and Wool. This is gorgeous, this spindle. It is my favorite spindle of all the ones that I have. Just the wood is gorgeous. It's like orange and purple, and that's the underside of it. It's so gorgeous. But more importantly than it being gorgeous is I absolutely love the way that it spins. I feel like I have a good amount of control with this one. It's a great weight. I don't know, I don't think it says on here anywhere what the weight is. Sometimes they have it etched in at the bottom, but I don't see that. So I don't really know what the weight is. But I love it, and oh my gosh, these colors of this Frabjous fibers are just to die for gorgeous. So, oh my gosh, so there's like a little pop of aqua in there for like the sky, I would think. So it kind of reminds me of like the light, that bright blue and white, like the sky, and then the two shades of purple of the iris, and then with the green stem and leaves and grass. And this is just perfection for my purple loving heart. This is amazing. I love it. I have never spun Polworth before, and oh my goodness, you guys, I think this is a great fiber for new spinners because it is so easy. It is not breaking apart. The combed top is really great. I don't know what the staple length is. It just all kind of seems to just go together, and it's not breaking apart like the other fibers that I have shown you in my previous spins. So I would recommend a Polworth wool combed top as a beginner spinning fiber. I love this, and this I'm gonna be buying more Polworth to spin for sure. It's amazing. Look at how even this is. This is so gorgeous. Okay, so I have so much natural dyeing to share with you guys. Oh my gosh, I went super crazy this week. Super crazy. I didn't really do too much of anything else. I just did so much natural dyeing. So let's go on and move over to natural dyeing. Okay, natural dyeing. I feel like this part is gonna be probably long enough to take up a whole podcast episode itself. But it's so interesting. So buckle in, grab a drink, because I did so much. Holy cow. All right, so last week I showed you guys yarn that I had dyed with leaves, green spring leaves from my oak tree. And my oak tree leaf yarn that I showed you guys last week is this one right here. And it is so gorgeous. This was a Naked Yarns that fingering weight superwash that I picked up online a couple months ago, a month or two ago, and it is 100% superwash wool, fingering weight, and all sheep from Maine. So they're based in Maine, and all of the wool content in here are sheep from Maine. And so this is the color that I showed you guys last week from the leaves. And so this week I dyed with the bark from the oak tree, and I got this color. It is so gorgeous. Now you're probably like, Lisa, that looks like the same color. No, it is not. Check these guys out next to each other. They are different. They are different. It's subtle, but this one is paler and yellow, which is really interesting because the dye bath from the bark was so much darker than the dye bath from the leaves. It was so weird. So the leaves give a deeper color. Oh, there's the sun. The leaves give a deeper color, and then you guys can see how much more pale and like a more yellowy tone this one is. They're all gorgeous. I've got a nice sweater quantity here of this one for a nice like long sleeve sweater. think I've got about 1,300 yards here, and I've got about 900 yards here. So I might be able to use this for like a short sleeve something, or a shawl or something like that. I'm not really sure, but it is so cool. Oh my gosh. So I went into a lot of detail last week on how Owen and I collected all the bark. And so we did not take anything from a live tree. We had a storm come through over Memorial Day weekend. It rained all Saturday and all Sunday, and it was really windy. And so Memorial Day, my son and I spent picking up the fallen leaves and the fallen bark, and we made some huge piles. I have started to edit a video. It's going to be probably a long one because I did a lot of dyeing with material from the oak tree. Okay, I also brought up again the yarn that I dyed in the fall of 2019 with the acorns, because so many of you guys said that it was really cool to see the different shades right up close next to each other. And so now that I have a third one from the same oak tree to compare, I wanted to show you guys. I took a picture too, so I will insert that just so you can like really see. So we've got leaves from a couple weeks ago, bark from this past week, and then all of these, I'm just gonna take a couple of them. There's a dark one from a first dye bath. These are acorns, same tree. So this is some Mittens Croy sock yarn. Acorns, initial dye bath, and then a second, same dye bath, second soaking, second dyeing. And then this one is also Mittens Classic worsted weight. So these are all of the colors of my oak trees in my own backyard. It's like so many shades of brown, but they are all different and they are all gorgeous. And I think it's just really, really fascinating. So that was my first thing that I dyed this week. So as I there good. I drop something every episode. You guys are used to it. It's the Stop, Drop, and Knit podcast. Emphasis on the drop, which is supposed to be for the drop spindle, but it also is just for dropping everything. Every week, everything. I drop things. That's what I do. All right, so these were all done 2 seasons ago in the fall with acorns, and I mean that's like 3 different shades right there. Somebody suggested doing a faded garment, which is a great idea, except that this one is worsted weight and the others are like a sport fingering weight. I don't know what Mittens Croy, kind of in between fingering and sport weight, I think, for the sock yarn. But I do have, let's see, I do have 5, I'll put these down here. I do have 5 skeins of this fingering / sport weight, and then I also have 5 skeins, well here's 4 of them, of this. So I mean maybe it could be a fade between all the fingering weight yarns. It's an idea, especially if I have a little bit left over from the ones I just did this week. Then maybe I could mix them all together and do something really beautiful. I mean, these browns don't excite me too much, but these are all so beautiful. They're so beautiful. Okay, so that was the first thing. So that kind of just dropped another one. I'm telling you guys, I just drop things all the time. All right, let me pick this stuff up. Hang on. All right, so that's all the acorn yarn, and I will insert a picture of all of these together so that you can see. And then the 2 darker ones, leaves, and then the ones I did this week from the oak bark, all from the same oak tree. It is just blowing my mind how many different shades are just available to me for free, and like a lot of work to get to them, but it's fun and it is exciting to see all the different colors. All right, so let's talk about this jar here for a quick minute before I show you the other things I naturally dyed this week. So this jar, it's really hard to see now. I'll insert a picture of the lichen that was on all of these fallen oak branches that I scraped off and picked off. Don't worry, I did not take any live lichen from the actual trees. It was all things that had fallen naturally, thanks to Mother Nature. And so I scraped it off and I collected, I got even more from the last time I showed you, and I pretty much filled up the jar. I'm gonna close this up now. I think it has oxidized enough. So Bryce went out and got me some ammonia from the store. And so what you do is you fill the jar halfway with water, and then you fill it the rest of the way with ammonia. And you leave some room at the top because you want to oxidize. I think that's the word, is oxidize, right? Bryce was so laughing at me after my last podcast because I think I said like oxygenize or something. I don't know. And as soon as he said, Lisa, it's oxidize, I said, yeah, you're right. That sounds much better. That sounds much more accurate. I knew that word. I'm not a chemistry person. Although maybe I should become one now. I don't know. But yes, so it needs to oxidize from time to time. So that's why I let it sit open for a while I was recording today. And now I've got this closed up again. I'm gonna give this another shake. It doesn't seem to be like totally closed today. I don't know why. This is the first time it is like leaking a little bit. But so we're just gonna shake this again. And yeah. So I don't know, I did not wash away the dirt first. So it just looks like a big old jar of just really dirty water right now. And I should wipe that up. I don't know why it's leaking. It hasn't been leaking until like just today. All right, so I mean, it's like staining right now. So what we do with this, I'm gonna leave that there. It's back over there. Is we just do what I just did. Shake it every day and let it sit for like up to 6 months. This is actually supposed to turn to a bright purple, which is amazing. I think first it's gonna turn kind of reddish, and then it's gonna turn kind of purplish. It doesn't really seem like it's gonna do that right now, but I mean, it's been 1 week, and definitely not 3 to 6 months. So I'm really curious to see really if this is gonna work, if this is gonna change over time. And yeah, I am wondering though if I kind of screwed up by not rinsing all the dirt away first, because there was quite a bit of dirt in this jar as well. I mean, dirt should just wash out. I wouldn't think that the dirt would stick, and I would think that the dye would like override the dirt. I might have done it wrong. I don't know. There didn't really seem to be a good way to wash it though. I guess I could have just run it under some water and tried to get some of the dirt off, but I didn't, and it's a little bit too late now, so we're just gonna go with this. And I'll probably shake it up every podcast, and we'll just kind of keep an eye on it together and just see if anything happens over the next several months. So, but okay, so I did have another experiment that I did this week. So over there, we have a really big rhododendron bush, and I wish that I had a picture of it. I think I have an old picture from last year that I took where the flowers were really looking beautiful because we caught a butterfly in Owen's little butterfly net. We let him go. He didn't get hurt. He was good. Or she, it, they, the butterfly. Yeah, so I think I have a picture I can insert of the bush actually looking really beautiful. But what I did notice was over the weekend, a whole lot of the blooms were just laying on the ground, and I couldn't find any information about dyeing with rhododendron flowers. The only thing that I could find was dyeing with rhododendron leaves. So I did collect some of the leaves, but I actually put them in the freezer because I wasn't wanting to dye with those right away. I wanted to use the flowers because the flowers are already pretty spent. And actually, I have a bag over here. I'm gonna rotate this chair. Hang on. So I have over here a bag, and I'm just gonna dry out, but I had filled this bag up to the top with blooms that had just fallen completely off of the bush. And so I have a whole bag, and so they started out, you know, looking like this. And so I've actually been keeping these just in the shade in my basement, actually, out of sunlight, because I'm hoping to just dry them out. But you can see, like, as they dry out, they kind of look a bit like that. They lose a lot of that purple color. So I was searching and searching and searching. And so this, I knew I wasn't gonna get this color by any means. I could not, I mean, I spent a long time, a lot of hours searching for somebody that had tried to dye with rhododendron flowers. I couldn't find a single source of anything other than the leaves, which apparently give a really pretty yellow. So when I get around to doing that, we'll see if we get a pretty yellow. So I was totally up to do an experiment. And so what yarn did I use for this? I used some Lion Brand. I found some Lion Brand wool ease. Not wool ease, just Lion Brand sock ease. That's what it is. It's a sock yarn. It's 75% wool and 25% nylon. And I had 2 skeins. It was like a marshmallow color, which was like their name for their bare sock ease yarn. And I said, well, I can use this for an experiment. I nearly put my hand spun in it, but I was really afraid that it was gonna turn out really bad, and so I didn't. That's another story that we'll get to in a few minutes. So I put the sockies in. You saw that bag. That bag was big. So I collected over like 2 days worth of fallen rhododendron blossoms, because you want to use as much fresh flowers as possible. If you're doing dried flowers, you don't need really quite as much, but if you're trying to dye with fresh flowers, you need to use as much as possible. And I had absolutely no idea what this was gonna look like at all. I was just crossing my fingers, hoping that something would happen and hoping that it just wouldn't be ugly. And so I'm actually pretty pleased with how it came out and totally surprised. And I'm wondering why nobody has done this, or at least documented doing it, because it's not a bad color at all. I knew I wasn't gonna get purple. Are you guys ready to see the color that I got? Probably. I got this color, which is like a really, really deep mustardy gold. It's really pretty, actually. I was not sure how this was gonna go at all. Let me get one of those flowers again so that you guys can see. We started out with this, and we ended up with this. So you can kind of see, actually, in the bloom there is a bit of that yellow right there as it is dying and drying up. Yeah, I knew enough not to expect to get purple for this one. My next one, though, we'll get to that in a second. So I'm actually really pleased with this. So yeah, this is rhododendron flowers, and this mustardy gold color. I mean, and it's so different too. This is so different from, like, just to show you guys. This one is the oak bark, right? So totally different. This one is the oak leaves. You know, so those are much lighter and much more brown And this one is definitely more like mustardy. So yeah, just for some perspective there, but that's what those look like together. All right, so that was rhododendron flower. So I think I had mentioned before on the podcast that a couple of years ago, I had a friend give me a huge bag of dried hibiscus. And so I thought, you know what? I've got my hand spun yarn. I have seen people are able to get some beautiful pink and purple yarns from dried hibiscus. And so I was really, really hoping that I was going to be able to get a pink-ish or a purplish color from dried hibiscus. Now, I do not know what variety of hibiscus this was. It was just a big bag of like hibiscus, basically like what you would use to make tea. Dried flowers in a bag. There was no label on it or anything. It came from a friend, and she said it was hibiscus and use it for dyeing. And so I have been hanging on to this hibiscus for like 2 years now. And so I needed to mordant the yarn for this, for the rhododendron. And so mordanting can be kind of a pain. And so I just wanted to like mordant a whole bunch of stuff all at once. So I went ahead and I mordanted my hand spun when I was done with it, so that that would at least be ready for a dyeing project. And then it also has to be wet and soaking when you're dyeing with it. So it was wet, and so I said, well, I could just use it now for a dyeing project. And so I got out the hibiscus and I made this incredibly dark red magenta dye bath. It was so saturated and there was so much red. I thought for sure this is gonna give me something like a very pale color like this. No. I got another brown. You guys, I got another brown. This is my hand spun. All right, so in certain light, you can maybe see the faintest pink tint to it, reddish tint, sort of. I wonder, like holding it up against the rhododendron, if there's a little of that pinkish hue that might come out. It's so subtle, and really, honestly, it just looks brown. Against all the other browns, I haven't done that yet. Let's see. So hibiscus, I mean, it's pretty. It just wasn't what I was going for, right? So, I mean, I still like it. It's not my naturally white Cotswold anymore. But, you know, up against the oak bark and then up against the oak leaves, does it maybe now look like a little slight reddish undertone to it? Maybe a little. Yeah. So I mean, it's another beautiful shade of brown. I have so much brown yarn now, so much brown yarn. All right, now I need to go and get my cotton hibiscus yarn, because I also had in my stash 3 skeins of some Barocco. It was a cotton cotton rayon blend, and it was a bright white, kind of like a bleached white. Probably it was bleached, but it was like as white as you can get. And so I said, I'm also going to put this cotton in and see if that gives me something closer to this color that I am that I am hoping for. So let me go get that. 1 second. Okay, so this is like sopping wet right now. But this is the color that it got on a bright white cotton. I think See, when I pulled it out on the indoor light, it looked gray. It just looked totally gray. And so I don't know on camera how it is looking to you guys, but I can tell you that sitting away from it and looking at it hanging on the fence over there, it does definitely have a bit of a dusty mauve, dusty lavender kind of tint to it. Like there is a slight amount of purple to it, but it is so subtle. It is so subtle. I don't think I'm disappointed. I think, like, I had watched some videos, and so I knew like a dusty lavender-ish color was possible. And I am just, I mean, so much color. This was really pink. When I pulled this out of the dye bath, it was so pink, and immediately just like all the color came out. I did not initially use any kind of mordant on this because I didn't have the right kind of alum for this one. I did have a alum sulfate, aluminum sulfate mordant on this one. So these are these next to each other. So this was the same dye bath, okay? Same exact dye bath. 2 different bases. So this is the same hibiscus dye bath. This one here was my Cotswold hand spun. I'll insert the picture again of that one so that you can see like the natural color right next to, I'll probably just stick it in like right down here. So the natural color of my hand spun, then dyed with the hibiscus. Same dye bath on the cotton rayon blend gave this color. They're so different, which is like so fascinating, right? So, I mean, it's not like the magenta that I've seen some people get. I just don't know if the people that get it, like, are they washing out of the dye bath or are they just letting it dry? Because it's a fugitive dye to some extent. Like a lot of that color is gonna go away once it's washed. So I'm not quite sure. I think on a linen, I've seen some really good results with hibiscus on linen, and you can get a much brighter pink. So maybe at some point I'll have to find a linen yarn and do another like hibiscus experiment. But yeah, I hope that you can see that there's like maybe the slightest undertone of pink to this one, maybe. And then that this one has like a dusty rose, not rose, a dusty like lavender mauve kind of tint to it, and that it's not just like a flat gray. So that was all of my natural dyeing experiments. I just totally dropped my hand spun. Yeah. So that was all my natural dyeing. That was everything that I spent this week doing. This tree right up here is a mulberry tree. So I'm going to be doing some research because that might be another interesting natural dye experiment. And we are at the point where the mulberries are kind of starting to appear. There's always a point where like the deck here is covered in mulberries, and yeah, they're like everywhere. So when they start to fall, I might collect some of those as well. I just want to make sure that it's a pretty big tree. I think the birds will have plenty. So I just want to make sure that that I leave enough for the birds, because I know the birds do eat the mulberries. So yeah, this was episode 26. I think there was a lot of variety. I think I'm done with the natural dyeing for a little while, only because I don't really have anything else on hand to dye. And it's really time consuming, and I need to go purchase some more bear yarn to do these kinds of experiments. And we're going to be traveling a little bit, so that's not something that's really in my budget right now. So I'm probably going to have to hold off on some more natural dyeing experiments for a little while here. But I did take a lot of video footage, and so I'm going to be making videos dedicated to each. Like there's going to be an oak dyeing video. There's going to be the rhododendron video, and there's going to be my hibiscus video. And then, of course, several months from now, there'll be the lichen video too. But I'm sure that I'll have something in between this hibiscus and that lichen, I would hope, because that one's going to be like months in the future. So there will be videos going more in depth and showing you guys like the step-by-step process that I used to make each of these naturally dyed yarns with all of those materials. And I hope that you guys are finding this as interesting as I am. I am definitely not a natural dye expert. This is just something that I am enjoying experimenting with and documenting, and I'm kind of really into it at the moment. Yeah, so I gotta knit some of this stuff up, but that is my episode for today. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you liked this video and are not already subscribed. I am having so much fun, and I love having you here with me. I love getting comments from you guys, so go ahead and send me a comment. I'm almost caught up responding to comments from last week, so I will eventually respond. And I love getting to know you guys a little bit better. I hope that you guys have an amazing day, an amazing week, an amazing month, an amazing everything. Bye.